These reminders are simply a help to bring it into living what has been in different ways, logically, rationally considered and understood. It is very easy to forget what one understands in the practice, and for that one has to take very conscious and deliberate initiative so that the remembrance can go on in a deeper way. And the fact is that without this deliberate initiative, we are letting the inner automatism pull the energy into the habitual patterns of reaction. And so we remain caught in an unconscious conditioned level, even though we may be knowing many things as to what is valuable, what is good, what needs to be taken care, and all that. So we have two reminders, and one is something very, very basic. That is remembering to see in each situation as much as possible the wholeness of the moment. The automatic way of seeing is a projection where we interpret on the basis of our conditioning and judge on the basis of the standards and values which we have as a part of our past experience and background. So, in order to look at the wholeness, we need to very carefully bring in a certain kind of alertness. When one sees a very basic factor that all what is pleasurable and painful is part of one phenomena, that birth and death is an interconnected phenomena. And that we can bring into remembrance as we let ourselves, in moments when things are beautiful, comfortable, pleasurable, also to remind oneself that this also will change, and that what is giving us the pleasure in the moment, when we don't have it, when it changes, when other experiences come, then we are suffering from it when we don't bring light of consciousness in our life. Through being aware that all that what is beautiful, pleasurable in the relative sense, in the usual way of seeing, is also a passing phenomena. It is changing. It comes into manifestation, and then it also is changing. Our own experiencing of it is changing. The way we feel about it is changing. The situations are changing. So this transitoriness, the ongoing change of all what is taking place, opens us to connect to the wholeness of the situation. When we see that the pleasure is passing by and the pain also is passing by. So in moments of pleasure, experience it wakefully and notice that it will pass by. In moments of pain, where it is uncomfortable, difficult, also remember that you can just watch it and without identifying it, stay with the remembrance that this also will pass by. So it is in this way opening the vision to include the wholeness of the reality, what is meant with this first reminder. And that you can apply it during the day on all those moments where simplest things, you're enjoying a pleasant meal. Enjoy it, but also remain aware that this is also passing by. And when you have some moments which is uncomfortable, painful, difficult, hard, from different kinds of circumstances, there also stay with the remembrance that you can watch it and that this is also passing by. Nothing remains in the same way. And in each moment, both the sides are present, whether we are able to see in that moment or not. And as the awareness deepens in this area, then something very valuable can happen, that you gain a distance to these aspects of life so that you need not get lost in the intoxication of the pleasant, and that you don't need to get trapped in the suffering from the unpleasant. And that is what the remembrance and connecting consciously to the wholeness of the reality can make possible. And the second reminder is also very simple and connected with the first one. In fact, very valuable to combine it, because to recognize that life is existing as a play of polarities. We experience light because darkness is also there. And in comparison to darkness, we can say this is light, this is lighter, this is very bright, or this is dark, it is darker and very dark. So it is between these two aspects of light and darkness we categorize and label things. And in every area of our judgment, the polarity is playing a role. We have some standard somewhere as a part of our past experience, as a part of our conditioning, some values, some concepts which we take as the measuring factor. And in connection to that, in comparison to that, we say something is pleasurable, something is beautiful, something is nice, something is uncomfortable, something is strange, something is bad. Become aware of this play of the polarities. Bring attention to this interconnectedness of light and darkness in each moment. The more you become aware, the more you see that it is not two different factors, it is like two sides of the same coin. That is why when you are practicing the first reminder, the second reminder will be an enhancement of the whole thing. In all the situations where you are judging anything as good or bad, right or wrong, superior or inferior, pleasant or unpleasant, see the relativeness of it. See that it's always connected with some standards and values which you carry. And that will be again very significant to gain inwardly a distance to the intoxication, what we call the worldly life. Why is it called intoxication? Because the more wakeful you become, the more clear it becomes also that we project values, we judge things, and in this way we are creating an illusion together with values which we give. And it is to be understood rightly. It is something which should not be there, but it is necessary to see that when we don't have the distance to these values, we can start suffering from it. And most of the suffering in the modern world you can see has to do with the entanglement in this value system. Many people are depressed because they are not able to attain and achieve and stay in what they call the successful state. But the success and failure is a relative process. As you become alert, you will also see clearly that when you are not holding to these values and accepting yourself as you are not going into this ladder from where you can fall down. First, you need to have a distance, and that is what will happen when you can see the relativeness of these polarities and the limitation of the values which we use for the playing. And that will make one clear that one need not suffer when one has a distance to see it as something relative, something which is arbitrary and is not the real truth. When you accept and respect yourself as you are and are not trying to blindly achieve success, blindly reach somewhere and get caught in the belief that only when you have this or when you achieve that, you are okay. Seeing this conditioning, seeing the relativeness of it, seeing that it is a game of polarity which we are in, and thereby gaining distance, you see something very valuable, that when you are not caught in it and you relax, for no reason there is a feeling of at-homeness, a feeling of joy, a feeling of lightness. Depression and many related processes are connected because we don't understand to gain the right distance to these values and the game which we have produced. That is why when you gain a distance, when you go with the awareness, in the day-to-day living, in all these moments when you are judging, remember that you are playing with values and concepts which we human beings have created, that it is not absolute. It is relative, it is a play of polarity. As this becomes more and more conscious and transparent, it will also help you to get more rooted in yourself, in your beingness, and get clear in your perception of life, in your perception of yourself and each other. That is when you start really seeing the true beauty, the true wonder, the true blessing which is behind the whole manifestation of life. So practice both these as carefully, as wholeheartedly, without making it into any struggle, but just seeing that these are orientations to experiment with, and let it become a ripening for you.